Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked. In the last episode, we featured a really fun team with Tapu Lele and Slurpuff, so I'll be playing a couple more games with it today. It so happens that we're actually up against Tapu Lele and Drifblim. Honestly, I can't even remember the last time I saw Drifblim in Series 7 at all, so that's pretty cool. I think that Drifblim's going to be faster than our Slurpuff, which is kind of awkward. That being said, Lele Slurpuff is honestly not a terrible lead still, I feel like. Maybe it's not the smartest. They could actually just straight up lead Drifblim even without their Lele. That'd be kind of interesting. Metagross, like, demolishes my opponent's team. I just need to get Trick Room up, ideally. So if I want to get Trick Room up, what's my approach? Porygon 2, maybe? But Porygon 2 doesn't necessarily work against, like... I think if you're my opponent, you should be prepared for Drifblim Lele, right? Or, sorry, Slurpuff Lele. I still kind of like leading it here, though, honestly. Porygon Metagross in the back. Alright, let's see how this goes. Mainly because I also have Yawn Pressure with the Slurpuff. But my opponent could make, like, a super big brain play here, which is not even bringing their own Lele, just leading Drifblim, and having Lele in the back. I actually think that'd be really smart, because like that capitalizes off me potentially leading Lele, and then you have an incredible lead with Drifblim and something really fast like Dragon Bolt, and then you can Tailwind. But it looks like they're just going to go with Lele and Drifblim. Okay. So this is definitely interesting. I loved using Drifblim Tapu Lele in VGC 2017. It was like my favorite duel, so it's cool to see that. Okay, so their Lele is faster. That wouldn't be surprised then if they were timid. I can String Shot, or I can just Fake Tears, straight up. String Shot doesn't seem half bad, though, although they'll probably get a Tailwind up. The other thing about Drifblim is it's actually not very good offensively. It can't do much other than Shadow Ball. So, like, here I could just Fake Tears Tapu Lele and Shadow Ball it. I think I'm kind of down for that. Maybe my opponent just goes Moonblast. Okay, no, they Tailwind, though. I guess if they're Specs Lele and they one-shot my Lele, that's a problem. Okay, they Dazzling Gleam. That's not bad. That is not bad. Looks like they were Specs. The thing about Tapu Lele, Drifblim, is that, like, Drifblim, after turn 1, what is it going to do? Icy Wind. I actually should have gone for, like, Moonblast or Psychic there instead, I think. Well, I guess locking the Shadow Ball is in the worst case against Drifblim. I can, potentially switch Lele out. And now if you look at my opponent's team, what do they have that wants the Dynamax? I suppose Terrakion or Dragapult? Wait, does Drifblim get beat up? That's my only question here. Oh, no. If it does, that could be a big problem, actually. I'm going to go for a Yawn here onto the Terrakion, switch out Tapu Lele into the Porygon here. I don't know if Drifblim gets beat up, because if it does, you could just go for beat up here. That actually would be really interesting. Okay, we're going to trace the Unburden. Unfortunately, that's not really going to be very helpful for us. Ah, it's Brutal Swing. Okay, that's pretty cool. So it gets 1 Justified boost, but that's better than it getting like 4, right? And they actually miss Rock Slide on Porygon. Okay, I mean, Slurpuff was the one I'd hope for there. Can we survive? Oh my gosh, the 1 HP survival. They're Life Orb too. And we don't flinch. Wow, okay, huge. That's really good news for us. Question here is, if you're my opponent, do you still just close combat anyway? Like, I'm willing to just go for a Dazzling Gleam here and switch Porygon out into the Tapu Lele. Because I think if we get Trick Room up with Porygon, I could see my opponent staying in with Terrakion to just try to deny me Trick Room this turn. So, lucky avoid there. More fortunate we survived with 1 HP. I actually found out that in Game 2 of yesterday's episode, I did survive with 1 HP. Since we've seen the Lumberry on Terrakion, or sorry, the Life Orb, we know it's not Lumberry. So even if I lose both Pokemon here, it's honestly not the end of the world. They're just going to go for an Icy Wind, that's fine. So we've seen Icy Wind, Brutal Swing, Tailwind. I would think Shadow Ball, so if you don't run Will-O-Wisp, that's also really good news for us, right? Because it means that Metagross can just come in with Little Fear, and there's the close combat, yep. So I thought in that position it made a lot of sense for my opponent to try to deny Trick Room, but now I bring in Porygon and Metagross, and I can just Dynamax and Trick Room on the same turn. And Trick Room going up against my opponent's team is going to spell disaster for them. So the other question I have is who their last Pokemon is at this point in the game. Dragapult and Amoonguss were the other Pokemon we saw in Team Preview. What Dynamax is from my opponent? I don't know. And Weavile. So, like, Metagross just completely sweeps, right? Trace Justified, which is actually kind of interesting here. I'm definitely just Trick Rooming here. And, I mean, Drifloom's really not that much of an issue. Like, I think I'm content to just max Steel Spike in this position. It could have Hypnosis, actually. That's my one fear. But if it has it, it has it. So it's only 60% to hit. Plus, you know, I think the odds are in our favor. Even if this turn, like, it doesn't work out. The main thing is we either get Trick Room up or we knock out Terrakion, even if you have Hypnosis, right? So definitely interesting to see Drifloom here. I honestly like the Slurpuff a little bit more. Like, ultimately, Yawn was so good for us, right? Just that one extra move went a long way. And they did have Hypnosis, but they targeted Porygon. Yeah, that's why I wanted to Steel Spike into the Terrakion slot. Because even if they hit that Porygon, we knock out Terrakion, which means... and I can just wake up immediately next turn anyway, right? And, I mean, it really comes down to what my opponent has in the back, but I also wanted to go for the defense boost there, because regardless of whether it's Weavile or Dragapult, that defense boost should allow me to survive a Shadow Ball plus a max move from whatever is in the back. So, yeah, I mean, definitely fortunate in this game, and I feel like the string of good RNG continues. We managed to survive with 1 HP on the Slurpuff. I thought we'd survive, but it was Life Orb, so then I was a lot less confident. Ended up dodging that Rock Slide. I don't think that really mattered, but the main thing was dodging Hypnosis there. I think that pretty much ensures the game for us. I honestly felt pretty good about our position, even if that hit, to be honest, because we have a +1 defense Metagross, and you would have to activate Policy on Metagross. So that's the moveset on Drifloom. It's Hypnosis, Icy Wind, Tailwind, Shadow... Or it doesn't have Shadow Ball or Will-O-Wisp. Because this Brutal Swing. That's actually really interesting. I'm just going to Mindstorm and Foul Play into that now. I guess my opponent could try to one-shot Metagross with like a crit max Phantasm. Actually, I don't think it ever makes sense to double up onto Drifloom. Well, it does, because they have Hypnosis. Never mind. Because like there was a small chance like Dragapult max guards and then you Hypnosis Metagross, right? So the only way my opponent gets out of this is if they crit Phantasm. And honestly, Porygon with Foul Play might be able to 1v1 Dragapult anyway. Drifloom's also tricky because I think it gets access to Ally Switch, which makes it even tougher to play against. Steel Spike might have just KO'd there, but I wanted to play it safe. Okay, we get the Mindstorm off. Yeah. Hypnosis is really high variance on Drifloom, but I do think it's a pretty good move. I did run it on Drifloom a fair amount while I was using that Pokemon back in VGC 2017. But yeah, look how little damage Phantasm does after that defense boost, right? So I think Max Mindstorm might have just one-shot Drifloom anyway. So let's say even if they hit that Hypnosis, like what are you going to do? Oh, actually, I guess if you hit Hypnosis on Porygon, though, what you can do is just Hypnosis Metagross as well in the subsequent turn. So then basically in that position, I would probably just go Mindstorm and Trick Room. Because honestly, Porygon can 2v1. Like, my Porygon, once you saw Dragapult's Dynamax, Foul Play just 2-hit KOs. My opponent had no damage for Foul Play Porygon, so yeah. But obviously the game got a lot easier because of the misses. And, you know, with Sleep, anytime, like, if we just take 3 turns of Sleep, that's obviously really brutal for us, right? So I'm just going to Mindstorm here and Foul Play. Dragapult should max guard here, but Iron Head plus Foul Play should probably seal up the game. Yeah. That was definitely an interesting game, though. I think this highlights the strength of Slurpuff being able to get the Yawn off. In addition, like, this was an interesting game because my opponent could have switched out the Terrakion out into Dragapult, but as you see, they have really bad, like, Trick Romancers. It's basically relying on Terrakion or maybe Tapu Lele to pick up, like, a one-hit KO. And so I was like, okay, by getting the Yawn off on Terrakion, even if they switch out here, that's pretty good for us because we're just going to be able to bring Porygon back in. As long as Terrakion's not on the field, we should get Trick Room up relatively easily. So let's just Zen Headbutt here in Foul Play. And Dragapult, I think that's the upside of Foul Play Porygon as well. It's just so strong. It's into something like Dragapult. They are weakness policy though. Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense because you have your Life Orb on the Terrakion, but Zen Headbutt hits and we end up winning the game from that. Could we have lost that if they clicked Max Wormwind into Porygon? We did have a defense drop and they're at +2 attack, so that actually might have KO'd. So Zen Headbutt missed there. could have been scary. May have been smarter, honestly, to just stall out my opponent's Dynamax, not foul play out of respect for weakness policy. Just click recover a bunch, because once your Dynamax is over, even if you're at +2 attack and I'm at -1 defense, I don't think like a Dragon Dart's double into Porygon even KOs. So it may have been a little bit smarter there to intentionally not foul play, so I don't risk a Zen Headbutt miss. Ultimately, that worked out pretty well for us. I mean, I don't think I can ever really bring Incineroar into that matchup. It's really useless other than just an Intimidate onto Terrakion. And I don't like Zapdos there either, because my opponent has Terrakion on Dragapult. So I think we brought the right Pokemon. I don't know if my execution was super good, though. I also could have chosen to knock out Drifbloom the turn I KO Terrakion, but I was nervous about Terrakion waking up the next turn because I already had an attack boost, and if like you had beat up in the back and you go for like beat up, I suppose it only gets the +3. So maybe it was better to target Drifloon there. I'm actually shocked it had Hypnosis as the last one. Like I mentioned as a possibility, I didn't actually think it'd have it because typically, I don't know, Shadow Ball seems so strong that, and like with that Drifloon set, you're basically committing to the fact that you're not going to be doing much damage. Icy Wing's actually kind of surprising because you also have Tailwind on that set. So yeah, but we definitely got a fair amount of good luck in that game. So I feel like this last week we've had a very good string of just fortunate RNG, and I do want to like think about that game a little bit more because I feel like it wasn't the cleanest of wins, and even though Hypnosis is high variance, it's still more in my opponent's favor to hit that. So I like need to figure out how could have optimized my play to not like deal with Hypnosis. I mean, the answer would be to KO Drifbloom, but yeah. All right, next team here. I feel like I'm expecting to see a Colossal because there's like Instant, Dragapult, Urshifu, Rillaboom, but then no Cole. It's just Landorus and Alecki. So Trick Room here seems decent if I can get it up. I also kind of just want to go with Slurpuff Tapu Lele. The only downside is that max speed Alecki outspeeds Slurpuff even with the Unburden boost. Dynamax Zapdos is kind of cool here too. All of my Pokemon are honestly pretty good here. We have a lot of options. I'm down to try out Slurpuff, Lele, Zapdos. I mean, Metagross wouldn't be bad here. It definitely wouldn't be bad, but Zapdos honestly feels okay too. Then it's Incineroar or Porygon. My opponent's team is so physically oriented. Foul play from Porygon's so good. The only downside is I can't bring in an Intimidator, and I think Intimidate's also really good in this matchup, so I don't know. I guess if I wanted to play this safer, maybe I don't go Slurpuff Lele because of the fact that Lucky might outspeed the Slurpuff if it's max speed, and instead just go with like Incineroar, Porygon, Metagross, Zapdos. That's probably the safer bet, but I want to play with Slurpuff Tapu Lele as much as I can. Okay, it's going to be Incineroar and Rillaboom for my opponent. That is actually going to be a problem here, right? Because you can cancel out my terrain. Yeah. So that's not ideal. My Instant plus Porygon would have been a really nice lead here, actually, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world because, realistically, like I can just switch out my Tapu Lele into Zapdos here, turn 1, right? Which is pretty good for us, I would say. The only problem is if Zapdos takes, like, I don't know, Flare Blitz to the face. Could get hit by a Parting Shot as well, which is somewhat scary. That'd actually be pretty scary, yeah. You should Parting Shot in this position, actually, into Lele. Like, I think that's pretty consistent. So maybe I actually switch out Lele into Porygon instead and Yawn. But I don't really get anything off Yawn. That's my concern. Porygon could Trace Intimidate, which is kind of cool in this position. Okay, I'm down to Yawn into Rillaboom and switch out into Porygon. The reason I don't like switching out into Zapdos here is if I get hit by a Parting Shot, not only do I decrease my stats, but my opponent gets a free switch into something like an outspeed Zapdos, like Dragapult, for example. We're going to trace the Grassy Surge here. It's not Intimidate, unfortunately. Okay. Rillaboom does go for Fake Out. Okay, onto the Lele slot. That's good. Was not a double Fake Out. That's also good. So I'm expecting Parting Shot here, but let's see. Oh, they actually went for Taunt. Okay. Well, that's a good play. Unfortunately, if I brought Zapdos out here, we'd actually be in really good shape. I think here the Rillaboom's definitely going to want to switch out, right? So the thing is, if you look at my opponent's team, actually nothing takes a combination of a Dazzling Gleam and a Foul Play. That's the strength of Foul Play for us here. Yeah, it's actually really good for us here. So I'm just going to go for that. It's guaranteed damage. If you stay in with Rillaboom, you fall asleep, and I probably still do, like, you know, 40% with this double combination. Yep, so there's the switch. That's fine. And they bring in Urshifu. Perfect. So, we're going to get a ton of damage off here with the combination. Yeah, that's just a KO. Nice. That's why I wanted a Yawn turn 1. The cool thing about Yawn is, like, basically your opponent has to make a decision. They either have to stay in and fall asleep, or they have to switch out, and you can use that to your advantage. And Instant goes for a taunt here as well. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. So we have a quick lead here. That's really good, and my opponent has already revealed Instant and Rillaboom. We've knocked out Urshifu, so basically they're going to Dynamax with whatever their last Pokemon is. I mean, it's a possibility you Dynamax with Instant or Rillaboom, but those typically aren't exactly, like, really strong options, right? It's going to be Landorus coming out. Yeah, that's totally fine. Like, that's exactly why I wanted to bring Porygon in the first place, because of the foul play pressure as well. So, those are all good things for us. And we have the Zapdos in the back, which is also good. So, I think there's only one turn of taunt left on this, or 2 turns, actually. Okay. I'm fine just going for a Dazzling Gleam and a foul play here, to be honest, because I think at this point, Dynamax Zapdos should clean up the game for me. They don't Dynamax. Oh, maybe, wait. I was going to say use Swords Dance, but that... Why? I have foul play. Don't I just KO Landorus now? I can't help but think that was really greedy. Maybe foul play doesn't pick up the knockout, but even if it doesn't, like... Landorus was my opponent's Dynamax Pokemon. That's the upside of foul play, right? You get to punish physical attackers so well. So foul play Porygon's really been the MVP. Okay, so Rillaboom comes out. Pretty sure this KOs. Yeah. Yeah, that's just game over. Honestly, though, I don't blame my opponent because I think they were already so far behind in this game after, like, losing Urshifu the way they did. But that's the... Like, they were in a really tough position after I got the Yawn off. And they didn't Parting Shot turn 1 because they didn't have a single switch it into Dazzling plus foul play. That's exactly why it was a safe play for us to make. See you. One turn of taunt left. We still have foul play on Porygon. I mean, we haven't even really taken damage yet, so yeah, it's pretty much game over. Zapdos can come in and sweep. So actually, yeah, I mean, I can respect my opponent going for Swords Dance because at that point, it's like a Hail Mary play. You're so far behind in this game that you're basically saying, okay, my only way to win is if for some reason you don't end up foul playing Landorus. So might as well just try it out. You know, it's probably not going to work out, but at that point, like Landorus was already, you know, not going to be able to do very much, even if it Dynamax, probably Max Quake or Airstream into the Slurpuff slot at best. And, you know, Porygon's looking pretty threatening. So, it's going to be a flinch here. Taunt's finally going to wear off. And I think I'm going to Yawn into the Rillaboom now. I mean, there's so many ways to finish this game off. Like, Zapdos alone should really just seal up the game. I think I'm also willing to switch out Porygon here into the Lele. Fake Tears is probably their best bet, actually. Just guarantee KO onto Rillaboom. Yeah, okay, I'm down to go for Fake Tears and switch into Lele, because at this point, Dynamax Zapdos should be either of my opponent's Pokemon. So what they switch into Lele does is it prevents a Grassy Glide from knocking out the Slurpuff. And then, yeah, I mean, neither of those Pokemon are really that scary in terms of being Dynamax threats. Regardless of who maxes, it doesn't really matter. And if Slurpuff survives this turn, I can get a Fake Tears onto Incineroar. They still don't max, which is interesting, actually. But, let's see. Yeah, so it's just going to be regular Glide now into Slurpuff. And Flare Blitz. Yep, that's fine. Because now I just outspeed with both of my Pokemon. So Slurpuff faints, but it has done more than enough for us in this game. I'm not going to bring out the Porygon because I could actually trace the Glide, or sorry, the Grassy Terrain, which I don't want that right now. So let's just go out into Zapdos. And with Zapdos out now, I can just click Max Airstream into the... I mean, you should probably Dynamax Instant at this point, actually. Yeah, I think just Max Airstream. I'm just going to double up onto Instant here with Moonblast and Max Airstream. Because I think at this point you have to Dynamax Incineroar. I mean, if you Dynamax Rillaboom, so be it, but Rillaboom is not really an offensive threat to me with Zapdos whatsoever, whereas at least Incineroar can max Flare, which is a little bit scary. So I'm just going to focus my attention onto the Rillaboom, because we know, or sorry, onto the Incineroar, because we know Rillaboom's at -2 special defense. I think in retrospect, it made more sense to Fake Tears Incineroar, because we kind of crushed Rillaboom with either Lele or Zapdos anyway. Yeah, so they finally Dynamax. It really should be Incineroar here. So That was a slight misplay on my end, I would say, to not go for Fake Tears onto Incineroar, but that's fine. I don't think it makes that much of a difference in the end. Even if you crit Max Flare into Zapdos and Rillaboom crits whatever it's going for into Zapdos, I'm pretty sure we should survive. And then, yeah, even if we don't knock out Incineroar here, we definitely should next turn. Okay, so here's Max Airstream. Pretty good damage. Okay, Rillaboom didn't protect, but that's fine. Like, once again, Rillaboom's not really a threat to me at this point. So we take our Life Orb, see if Specs Moonblast can finish it off. Yep, nice. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a scenario in which Incineroar max guards there, but if you max guard, like, Zapdos should 2v, like, 1v2 in this position anyway, but maybe I played a little bit, like, this probably wasn't, like, the cleanest endgame on my end. Mainly because, like, I think Dynamaxing, or sorry, Fake Tearsing into Incin is better there. Because Rillaboom's already completely walled by Zapdos anyway. So, yeah. In that position, though, I didn't feel very threatened by Rillaboom. At best, it could have Dynamaxed and gone for Max Darkness, I suppose, but you're never really doing substantial damage into a Life Orb Zapdos. So, yeah. I think Foul Play Porygon's actually been really good for us. Well, I guess in this one, it didn't actually end up... Well, no, it did end up mattering, because I knocked out that Landorus. And as soon as Landorus went down, I feel like we were in a really, really good spot. But this was us having a type advantage more than anything. Like, my opponent didn't have anything to switch into Fairy plus Dark, which was very much in our favor. Yeah, Taunt Incineroar is getting really common, I feel like. Life Orb Alecki here. Choice Banded Urshifu. We doubled up into that slot anyway. Oh, interesting. It's actually Support Dragapult, Fly Rock Slide Swords Dance with Focus Sash, and then AV Rillaboom. Yeah. And that's also one of the downsides of relying very heavily on only like one to two Pokemon that can Dynamax. Like with my opponent's team there, I think it's like Landorus almost always wants to Dynamax. And so that's the strength of Foul Play Porygon too. It really completely punishes physical attackers on switch-ins. It also punishes you if you get any attack boosts off. So, yeah. I think that was a tough game for my opponent to really do much, honestly, because of... it was like a team advantage here. I don't feel like I played like incredibly well, but they were just really limited in options. Now, turn one, I think like we gained a monumental advantage from that, and getting the Yawn off, you know, forcing Rillaboom to switch out was really, really good for us. So, yeah. This is a really interesting team. Alolan Marowak, Crocodile, huh. Galarian Zapdos, Alecki, the Togekiss, and the Stack Attack. So it's not a good game for my Zapdos, but I don't know if it's a great game for our Metagross either. If you want to get Trick Room up, you could just lead Porygon plus Stack Attacka. Sorry, Togekiss plus Stack Attacka. It's been a long day. I could just go Slurpuff Tapu Lele. But I don't like that very much if... Well... Anything but Togekiss Stack Attack, and I actually like that lead a lot. So let's say my opponent leads Lele or Togekiss Stack Attacka. I think Porygon actually is a must bring as well as Metagross, as well as Incineroar. I'm still willing to go with Slurpuff Lele here. Porygon and Metagross. This is slightly risky though. I don't know if it's like the 100% best lead here. Like... But I don't think Zapdos ever comes out. Well, not ever, but in a best of one, I wouldn't bring it into this matchup because of the Marowak and the Stack Attacka. So, yeah, I don't want to bring that out. Incineroar, though, I feel like is a tough one to not bring. But the thing here is... Well, let's see what my opponent leads. If it is Togekiss plus Stack Attack, it's bad, but it's going to be Zapdos and Stack Attack. Okay, I actually don't mind that very much. Because my play here... I have a bunch of options. Oh, I guess I'm nervous about Zapdos just one-shotting us. Do you Dynamax Zapdos here? That would be nuts, right? Here's what I could do. Like, I'm just nervous about Trick Room going up more than anything. So, if I want to deny Trick Room, what I want to do here is just Fake Tears into Stack Attacka and Psychic it. That's actually a KO despite it resisting. Unless they're, like, super, super specially defensive. This is not a lead I expected, though. Like, I'm worried about... I mean, Scarf Zapdos here would make a lot of sense, actually. And then you, like, Brave Bird one-shot Lele. That could be a problem. I am going to Fake Tear Psychic here. if I wanted a guaranteed knockout, like I could have gone String Shot. Okay, they don't Dynamax. Yeah, I think it might be Scarf Zapdos. And it might just be a Brave Bird into Lele right now. If that one-shots, that's not good for us, right? Oh, we survived with 8 HP. I wasn't sure on that damage calc. I think this should KO. Nice. Nice. That's exactly why I wanted to lead Slurpuff Lele, because, like, it was so good against anything other than Togekiss Stack Attacka. What I was nervous about was my opponent going Togekiss Stack Attacka lead, follow me Trick Room, and then you bring in Marowak, because Marowak kind of cleans up against me. Now, my Porygon's pretty good against Marowak. You can foul play and reverse Trick Room, but didn't feel amazing. Okay, they just bring out their Marowak. I am down to just go for a String Shot here. Yeah, I'm very down for that, actually. And just Psychic into Zapdos. That's fine. Because I have Porygon in the back. If I knock out Zapdos here, the Marowak can only, knock out one Pokemon. I would think you probably knock out the Slurpuff, and then I still have Lele in Psychic terrain, outspeeding Marowak, getting a Spec Psychic off. So, I like our position. But that was a gamble turn 1. Now, that being said, even if we don't one-shot Stack Attack it there, it's not the... Like, let's say the Zapdos did one-shot us. Like, it's not the end of the world because I can bring in Metagross. Metagross will outspeed that Zapdos. I don't know. I guess it's not amazing, though, either. Now, obviously, Zapdos is Defiant, but since I'm dropping its speed, it's not going to be relevant here, because the goal is to just knock it out, right? So, instant speed drop to KO. Could have missed there. That could have been kind of scary, actually. It's White Herb! That's the one thing I get crushed by. Oh no. Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. That's really cool. I did not see that coming. Honest, like, I want to just String Shot, Dynamax, and Steel Spike here. Because that should be a KO onto Zapdos. I guess you could max Zapdos now. That's actually so cool. I did not see that coming. If my opponent maxes Zapdos, actually, I think that's a game-winning play for them. Like, max Zapdos and Flare Blitz into Metagross. To which I could have gone max Psychic. I wanted to Steel Spike here, anticipating Marowak to max. That gives me a defense boost onto Metagross, which allows me to survive, I think. Okay, they don't max Zapdos. That's good. Wow. White Herb. I was thinking Scarf this whole time. I mean, my Lele is not even max speed, and Zapdos' base speed is already higher than Lele, so it's not like anything that my opponent did indicated it. But I thought Scarf would make some sense on the context of that team, because basically you have like a really powerful Pokemon that can, put on a lot of pressure turn 1. Okay. Oh, but they detected. That's a really good play. Oh, that's actually so good on their end, because it allows you to just knock out... Oh, well played. Really well played. I think what might have been smarter for me was to Yawn and Max Quake there. That is, yeah. What a Zapdos set. White Herb's, like, not really that common either, right? Because you already have Defiant. And they're going to Blitz. Now you can just close combat Porygon for a knockout. Wow. Like, I thought this was definitely a win after turn 1. If you had any other item there, like, we just win, because Lele should knock out Zapdos. My opponent doesn't really have a good Psychic resist, and then Metagross should clean up, but I think that turn, Yawn into Zapdos, Max Quake into Marowak was a better play. And it actually would have been, like, pretty game-winning. Or not game-winning. Well, actually, it's really hard for my opponent to come back from that, I think, given what they potentially have in the back. I do have foul play here, but they're at, what, +2. Close combat should just one-shot us. You should just close combat Porygon here. But I can foul play and Steel Spike. I guess in the off chance you don't close combat Porygon for some reason, we can still win. But I think Porygon close combat should seal up the game. Oh my goodness, that's really cool. That was really cool. Why didn't I Max Quake last turn and just yawn? Was hoping to just knock out Zapdos, plus I wasn't sure if Max Quake would knock out Dynamax Marowak. I think that was my fear. Unless you like... No, actually, even if you max Zapdos, I'm pretty sure. Well, let's see who they max first. Yeah, it is Max Marowak. Well, instead of going for the string... I don't know, though. Like, White Herb is so uncommon on Zapdos, I feel like. I gotta look up how common that is on Pikalytics after this game. Yeah, they just close combat, which is the correct play. That should one-shot us. Yep. Wow, 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 wow. I mean, we denied Trick Room in the end, but the problem with string shotting is, yeah, I give the Zapdos a Defiant boost, right? That's like obviously a big problem for us. Okay, so I get the KO here, but Marowak should sweep this game at this point. I can't, like, if it were 1v1, obviously, we'd be good, because you would activate a weakness policy here, but it's not 1v1, it's 2v1. Yeah, so they're going to Flare here. That sets up the Sun. Better to Flare than Phantasm. That actually did nothing, though. Huh. Wait, maybe we can win that, actually. That did a lot less than I expected. And you just activated a weakness policy. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'd regret that string shot play at all, but that's really cool. What else would I have done there? Dazzle, switch out Tapu Lele? That doesn't feel great. They have Crocodile as their last one, actually. Huh. Crocodile, okay. I have a +2 defense. My last turn of Dynamax is right now. They're -4 speed. I have Max Quake. I could just Steel Spike into Crocodile here, reading into Marowak protecting. I don't know. Max Guard here is a pretty obvious play on the Marowak's end. But if I miscall it, I think I just lose too. It feels like a 50-50. Okay, I'm going to make the read they don't go for it. But if, I don't know. I feel like it's pretty obvious that they do go for it. Oh, they have foul play on their... Oh, we end up... What a fun episode. That was a really cool team, though, so props to them. I don't think I could have survived a... Yeah, I mean, I'm going to survive. I'm going to faint to the foul play now. Wow. Really interesting team. Okay, yeah, I'm curious. Let's see how often Galarian Zapdos carries... That's the beauty of running, like, surprise items like that, right? It makes sense, because you're close combating. Yeah, White Herb, at least on, like, Pikalytics, isn't even used... Oh, let's see, on Battle Spot, actually. We can check those statistics as well. White Herb is literally not in, like, the 10 most common items, so I think it's a fair assumption to go for that play the turn I did. We just ran into something really neat. And I think if Crocodile didn't have foul play, we'd actually have won this game as well. Well, we'd have to make the read on who's protecting there, but yeah, the foul play explains why they were willing to max Flare, because they, yeah, knew they were going to increase my attack. If you don't increase my attack, you're fine, right? I can't KO you, and if you do, then you just bring out the Crocodile. So, really cool team. Yeah. So if you're curious, the most common items on Zapdos on Battle Stadium, according to Pikalytics, it's 18.7% use Life Orb, 16.6% use Choice Scarf. That's why I was thinking Choice Scarf as soon as we didn't see the Life Orb, because that's the second most common item. 12.9% use Focus Sash, 11.6% use Weakness Policy, 8.3% use AV, 7% Lumberry, 6.8% Koba Berry, 4% Expert Belt, 3.6% Ban, 2.3% Shark Beak. So, yeah. I think it's the right decision to deny Trick Room, because Marowak under Trick Room looked like such a big threat to us. And the goal was to sweep with Metagross and Lele. I mean, if they don't have that White Herb, like Lele... I mean, we just knock out Zapdos. I'm pretty sure Metagross just wins the game for us at that point. Plus, we have Yawn. The only question is whether or not it was right to Yawn Zapdos immediately the turn I went for String Shot. No, I don't think I'd ever change my play there, because that's just, like, my opponent having, like, a very... Like, the one item that counters me. Anything other than that, it's probably fine. But then the question is whether or not... I think the next turn I misplayed. Because the next turn I went for Steel Spike, and... Oh, actually, The question comes down to how much Max Quake does into Marowak. Because if it does enough to knock out Dynamax Marowak, I don't think it does, by the way, but if it does, it was definitely to Max Quake. Yeah, I don't think it would have KO'd. Well, we are admin, actually. I think, what, like 224? If they're max HP, Max Quake does 45 to 53. They look like they were at like 53 to like, I don't know, 55 to like 60% on the Marowak. So I don't know if my take on that's right. But if so, then, okay, actually, and then just Max Flare just knocks us out in return, right? That's the problem? Yeah, it does. Well, we have some bulk, but it's not very favorable for us. So, I don't know. Like, I could have gone Yawn Max Quake there. But the problem with that play is, I mean, Zapdos could max, that would be brutal. Max Quake doesn't KO, and then you Max Flare the Metagross without a defense boost, that's also bad. Those are both problems for us. Well, I guess my Metagross has some bulk, so maybe, yeah, but I didn't know that calc off the top of my head, plus I would have, yeah, like, you need a ton of bulk to even have a chance of surviving Max Flare. Even with the max HP Metagross, it does 82 to 97%. That's just so much damage. So that was a great protect. But yeah, I mean, that's the value. Like, sometimes you can win games off like really niche items alone. And so that's a good example of one in which, like, I didn't even consider that possibility. I don't think I ever would have, to be honest, because I've actually even never seen that on Zapdos. So, the main reason you run White Herb is for, I am guessing, the close combat defense and special defense drops. You can just reset that immediately. I don't regret knocking out Stack Attack on turn 1, and yeah, I really thought it'd be Choice Scarf Zapdos, just because, like, that's such a common item on it, so yeah. But that was a really cool team. They had really cool techs. The foul play was huge, and my opponent also, I want to commend them because they made a really good decision to not Dynamax until they needed to. So they were able to conserve that Marowak Dynamax, which I think was quite smart as well. But that was a fun game, and it's always cool to see, like, really creative builds like that. Both the foul play on the Crocodile and the item on the Zapdos. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Slurpuff Tapu Lele was honestly a really, really fun combination, and I think that a lot of teams are actually, like, not properly equipped to deal with it. I think one of the things that I could have done better, like, you could always yawn. That's the thing. You have a really fast yawn, and if you use that correctly, especially when you get an early lead, it can really often just, like, blow the game open. So yeah. Thank you to the original creator. Thank you to you all, as always, for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. All right. Peace.